Peace, everyone, and welcome to the Healing Space Podcast, Episode 1. I am your host, Sensei Raven Ekundayo. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for listening in today. It's greatly appreciated. This is a totally new chapter for my wellness brand, The Love Movement, for my company, Revolution Multimedia, and for the Healing Space. A brief history about myself and about my company for those of you who may not be familiar with who I am. I am a native of Baltimore, Maryland. I am currently living in Atlanta, Georgia. I became ordained in 2010. That feels so long ago. I am an ordained Buddhist sensei. I am also a certified life coach and yoga instructor. I created my company, Revolution Multimedia, LLC, in the fall of 2006, along with my online magazine, Escape the Matrix. In 2010, I created my wellness brand, which is The Love Movement. That took place after a radio interview that I had while there were tons of suicides going on college campuses. And that was the discussion on the radio. I made a decision that I wanted to be a part of the solution and not just someone who talked. So I created The Love Movement as my answer to that. And throughout the years, I have done my best to give platforms to people to speak out for those who feel like they don't have voices, as a way of spreading love and showing that we are all different, but we are all truly worthy of love. During that time in 2012, I created my movement, I guess you would say, called the Healing Space, which is under the Love Movement's brand. And the Healing Space was a town hall that I would have 4 times a year, along with my co-moderators, Rebecca Dupas and Adike Rose, 2 poets and entrepreneurs out of the Maryland area. And it was major. It was really, really awesome. And every single time we would have one of the town halls, we moved people, we touched people, we healed people. And the way that it pretty much worked out is that we would have an artist come and perform for 1 hour, and they would tell their story through their art. And with each piece, they would be questioned by the audience as a way of helping them to heal. So the audience would give them certain questions that would lead them to have to talk about whatever the issue was, prayerfully being a catharsis for them. During the second hour, we then turned it on the audience, and we would then ask them questions, giving them an opportunity to heal themselves through speaking back to us and also to each other. It was a wonderful success, and it's a brand, as I said, the Healing Space. So it moved into my yoga and meditation classes, the Love and Light sessions, which I would teach on a monthly basis in Baltimore. And then I decided that I wanted to have a podcast now that I'm in my next chapter here in Atlanta. And here we are, the Healing Space Podcast. The next chapter for the Healing Space is the Healing Space Podcast. And my reason for creating the podcast is that I want to show people that there are different ways for healing. Now, for me, people most know me for my wellness, for yoga, for meditation, for life coaching, and that's what people consider to be healing. But there are many different forms of healing. There's television, there's music, there's dance. There's so many different forms, and we can't judge people for their way of being able to cope, of being able to heal. So through this podcast, I want to introduce you to different artists, different people, all finding their different ways of being able to heal. We'll have interviews, we'll have discussions, we'll have an all-around great time. So with that being said, I want us to begin to tackle one of my favorite things, which is pop culture. And I'm honored to be able to have one of my dear friends joining us week after week to help to give a rundown of all things pop culture. And with that being said, I'd like to introduce you all to Mr. Brandon Harris Williams. Welcome, sir.
Hello. How are you today?
I mean, you know, I'm good.
Oh, well, I guess. Expect you to be better. It's the first podcast. You better liven it up. Turn up.
How are you, sir?
I'm amazing. Blessed and highly favored.
Indeed.
What are you doing?
Not too much.
It's the day that the Lord has made. Oh, rejoice. Be glad. I will.
Okay. Calm down, Jennifer Lewis. Calm down. Okay.
I'm nowhere near Jennifer Lewis levels of loud. Nowhere near.
Whew, okay. So we're going to be tackling pop culture. So we have quite a list because this list is going to be covering the summer in its entirety. So we need to get right into it. With that being said, we're going to tackle music. So Brandon, go ahead and let them know.
I mean, it was a lot going on with the music this summer, but I really struggle to like keep up with everything. So these are just like the main highlights. Sorry, I'm just being honest. Jay-Z came out with his album telling all his business, and everybody was like, "Ooh, you cheated on Beyonce."
Do you think it was a good response to Lemonade, or?
That would mean I listen to Lemonade. I mean, I heard a single or two.
Ooh. Okay, true. Okay.
It's real. But no, I do think they mastered the art, and other people said this too, though, of like telling just enough but still being very ambiguous.
This is very true.
They still don't really do interviews or still don't really fully confirm or deny anything. So
right.
It's like,
okay.
Because of course, anytime you're singing or you're rapping or whatever, it's from your point of view, quote unquote. But we never know for sure if that's really your story, if it's whoever else wrote it or produced it, or if you're just speaking from experience, just being the person sending the message. So it's very easy to try to connect pieces, but we still won't ever really know probably the truth.
This is very true. This is very. They have absolutely mastered. I agree with you on that. They definitely have that down. They know what you will know, and they know what you won't know.
Exactly.
There's a part of me that feels like they have meetings beforehand, before they even get in the studio.
I'm sure. But then she went and she gave me the best gift she could have ever given me, which was Gemini's. Yes, Lord.
Oh, I'm guessing you're talking about Sir and Rumi?
Yes. We'll go with that.
So you just know them as the twins.
I mean, the Gemini twins. That's important.
Oh, okay.
Gemini twins because they're Gemini. So.
Okay.
We got a rep for them. We got a rep for them hard,
Congratulations.
Well, thank you, because we've been getting a lot of like slack, a lot of like slander out here, and it's not appreciated.
That would actually be both of our signs. I'm not sure if you realize, but Scorpio and Gemini get more hate than like everyone in the zodiac.
I ain't heard nobody talk about no Scorpio in a negative way.
What?
No.
Oh, you have some studying you need to do. We're probably the most hated.
I don't believe it.
People can't stand Scorpios. But we are getting so far off the topic. Okay, so we're leaving the Carters. And what's next?
Okay, little girl with the lettuce scissor came out with her album finally. And everybody went up for it. I really, I don't really like a lot of new music because I feel like folks can't really sing. It don't be real vibey, like smoke. And so I don't really get into it. I finally listened to her album, and I was right. It was all those things I just said. I had to turn on Anita Baker after it went off, because I was just like, girl. I'm a little too old for this.
This is an area where we absolutely agree. Most people I know really love SZA. I was unable to get into her. It did nothing for me. When I heard her live, it did even less. So I guess we are in the minority.
And that's fine. I don't have to. Everybody else, she got plenty of other fans. She don't even need me.
She absolutely, yes. That is one Scorpio who's doing just fine for herself. Just fine. Calm down.
She give me all a bad name. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But good for her. Congratulations.
Congratulations, indeed. Okay, what's next?
Remy Ma's still beefing with herself all summer. I just don't understand.
Did you say beefing with herself?
Herself, yes. Herself. Because for beefing, y'all got to be on equal footing, like the same level.
Oh, no. Wow. Wow.
It's got to be a mutual back and forth. And she's like... And I'm upset with her because she played her cards completely wrong, like all of them. Like, we were all rooting for her. She got out of jail. You know what I'm saying? She had a nice little comeback story. Her and her husband, they all on reality television. We like, you go, girl. And then she came out with the album with Fat Joe. Nobody asked for her. Then she gave us this hour-long diss that was unnecessary and not needed. And it's been downhill ever since.
Whew, okay. So I guess, I'm guessing from your point of view, this wasn't a good summer for Remy Ma.
Okay. No, but I think it was her last summer. So
Oh no, Jesus! I mean, she received quite a bit of love from a lot of people. But even with that being said, you still think? I mean, she has people like Little Kim backing her, so.
Listen.
maybe we should be moving on to.
I love Kimberly Jones. I do.
Okay.
But whenever Kimberly Jones is performing, she's not giving you anything past like 2003. So I don't know how much credibility that's giving Remy Ma. Just so really.
Well, staying on women rappers, let's now go ahead and slide over to Cardi B. And she owned the summer. She really did.
A little bit, you can't fuck with me if you wanted to, because he's expensive. These is red bottoms. These his bloody shoes. Yes.
Okay.
I love her.
Okay.
What I don't get though, which is where you might be able to help me out, the obsession with her going number one. I don't really get that part of standing, like you know what I'm saying, like the whole accolades and like all of the I don't quite understand why we're so invested in her going number one. I guess, quote unquote, to beat out Nicki because folks want Nicki to, folks are tired of her, and, of course Taylor Swift because she's trash or whatever. But I'm just like, why are we so invested?
Well, to be honest, and for me, I appreciate the fact that she's so genuinely herself. I do appreciate that. I don't care to hear her talk. When she begins to talk, I kind of tune out. But I love the journey. I love where she came from, that she's not ashamed of who she is. I love all that. And to be honest with you, I think that's the reason why people want her to be number one. People want her to succeed on the charts, is because there are a lot of people who put her down, who said that she was incapable of being able to do anything, And a lot of people, I think, see themselves in her. Someone who came from, places where people might try to shame you. And she was still able to become a success because of it. And of course, we live in a culture these days where I guess the more that quote unquote normal society looks at you as if you are a leper, then people are going to push you up and want you to succeed. So I think that's what's happening right now.
I mean, because I do enjoy her. I do. I'm a huge fan, but I'm not going to be like streaming the song all day long because there's other songs I want to hear.
Touche.
I wanted to win, but not for me, girl. I'm sorry.
It's not happening for you?
I mean, I'm going to still buy the album and the mixtape.
Okay.
But I'm just not streaming them all day long.
Okay, understood.
I can't do that. Sorry, not sorry.
And let's close out music on the Escape reunion. How do you feel about that?
I love it. I'm here for it. Them heifers is going on tour. I'm surprised they still able to be in the same room together, on the same stage together. I'm surprised Candy was able to forgive the Scott sisters, because that heifer can hold a grudge.
Okay.
All the way 10,000% here for it.
Well, for people like me who have absolutely no idea of what the drama was, can you briefly explain that?
Several things. Well, in most groups, at a certain point, people want to go solo, do their own things. It's only for so long that 4 people or 3 people or however many, can continue to think like the same or still want to all do the exact same thing, kind of. And so it was a number of things. Latasha Scott was really trying to get her own solo project going, and Candy felt that she was trying to use their last album to kind of set that up. I felt like she was really trying to push them more in the background and kind of push herself up front to, try to be Beyonce before Beyonce kind of thing.
Right.
And so Candy wasn't down for that. But also they used to get into like fist fights and altercations with each other in the studio and backstage or whatever.
Wow.
And then Tamika Scott went and did an interview saying that Candy slept with, I don't want to say the wrong people, but whoever she said, it was
Good job.
And so because of that, Candy did not talk to her, or either one of the sisters really, for like 18 years.
Wow.
And so but they only end up making up because there was going to be a biopic coming out that they weren't involved in. And they were like, everybody's going to tell our story, we should be able to tell our own story. So they kind of finally forced them to sit down and hash things out.
Wow.
And we'll see it all play out on the reality show coming up, Fist full, one Bravo. I'm excited. I still want them to get their wardrobe together when they go live, you know. But hey, one step at a time. One step at a time. We're gonna get there. God willing.
God willing.
I'm just saying. It's like the outfits. I'll just be like,
okay. Inhale and exhale.
listen, I believe you should dress for your body type. I believe that you should. I hate to say dress for your age, but I mean they're not 20. So take that however you want to take it.
Sir, this is supposed to be the music section, and you getting.
They are musicians.
You starting to take this into the fashion section now.
It's all one package. I gotta look at you when you're on stage singing. I'm like, go to the concert and close my eyes. That don't make sense.
Okay, so we are now going to transition from music to movies, and this was a pretty poor year, summer anyway, for films.
Depressing.
Yeah.
Sad.
Movies did not do as well as one would expect, but there were some pretty big standouts, and one of them was Wonder Woman. She had a domestic gross of, as of the 18th of September anyway, of $411 million, and worldwide of $818 million. So that was pretty impressive. Yeah, especially how people assumed that Gal and Patty didn't have nothing for you, you know?
Exactly. And Patty's coming back to give you the sequel.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I'm definitely very happy that they were able to prove all of the naysayers wrong. And I personally love the film. I thought it was awesome.
Exactly. It was really good. I hate that, DC films are trying to, give you a Marvel Cinematic Universe in 2 years. Marvel's been building it up for 10. But Wonder Woman, you could tell, you could tell that Patty really she really did her thing. She really cared and was invested in it. It shows. And I have not heard anybody rave about any of the other DC movies the way they've raved about Wonder Woman.
This is true, and I definitely agree with you as far as Marvel's pacing is compared to DC. It's like DC felt rushed to catch up,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it really should have been the other way around. Justice League should not be happening yet,
At all.
At all. And then Cyborg was supposed to be having his own film, and they completely took that from him, and now he's being smushed into the Flash's film now. So it's like going to be a buddy movie. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. But at least right now we can celebrate Wonder Woman until Justice League comes out later this year. And then when it comes out,
to see that, but yeah.
Not you won't be going to see it.
I'm just letting you know I won't be attending.
Okay, so while Wonder Woman beat out this next film domestically, she was unable to hold it over them worldwide, and that would be Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming made $330 million stateside and $861 million worldwide, which says a lot because as of September 18th, it actually ended up coming out many months after its release date in America. So I think that's one of the things that Wonder Woman, it may be Spider-Man, because they could be looking at Spider-Man. If they would have done day and date, it would have ended up having bigger numbers. The fact that it came out so much later than its dayside release may be the reason why it didn't go as high as it could have, because it could be in the billions,
Mm-hmm. And I actually, at first, I really was not interested in another Peter Parker movie. Because I'm like, how many times are we going to reboot this same man? Because there's been other Spider-Man.
There have been.
I'm not a big comic person, but I'm like, okay, give somebody else a chance, damn it.
Yeah, it was Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, but I really enjoyed this actor. I don't want to mess up his name or give you the wrong one, so I'm not going to say it. But he did a really good job, and I was pleasantly surprised I enjoyed the movie. It didn't overhype Zendaya's role in the movie, at least in the previews and commercials, but I get that that's to get people to go see the movie, her fans or whatever. So
yes.
I get it as a marketing strategy, but I hate it when it's done.
For the record, his name is Tom Holland. So
thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
We're here for each other.
Yes, we see each other. Yes.
But yeah, I believe that there's a payoff for Zendaya without saying too much. There's a payoff, but yeah, I can definitely understand where you're coming from. She was hilarious in the movie. Her dry wit was great. I really enjoyed that.
Yes. Two lines. Yes.
And I looked at Michael Keaton some kind of way when they said the character he was going to play, but they actually ended up doing a really good job with his version of the Vulture. A really good job.
Yes, I really enjoyed it, and the way it all panned out. Not to give anything away, but I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
So I did enjoy it.
And the funny thing is that there are things to give away. There really are things to give away, and I'm not often caught off guard by things in movies these days, but I can genuinely say that it caught me off guard. I was like, wow, who saw that coming? Okay.
Exactly. I like that too, that even with comic books and the adaptations of these movies, with them being around for so long, with them having so many fans, you can still kind of shock and awe and still surprise fans and readers when they go see the movie, because you can present it in a different way. Because the same thing can be said for the Wonder Woman movie. Because towards the end of the movie, there's a twist before the bigger twist. So
right.
The first twist really catches you off guard. You're like, okay, wait, like who? What? So it's really good because you're expecting one thing, but then you're completely thrown off. That's always good to still happen.
Right. So another movie that absolutely made history this summer, closing out the summer in a very big way, was It. Now, I did my best to do research on the box office grosses stateside and worldwide, and unfortunately I couldn't find anything because of the damn name of the movie. The movie is named It, so when I would type in It domestic box office, nothing would come up. I guess they're confused. So just know it broke box office records. It is the highest grossing R-rated horror movie of all time.
Yeah, and I heard the second one is not officially in development yet, but they're at least working on the script. Because apparently, I guess the novel, I think, is like really long, and it's set like 27 years, like apart from each other, or whatever. Like he comes back when they're adults.
Oh yeah. So I'm going to take it that you've never seen the miniseries.
No.
Yeah.
But the original movie too, though, is in both. I guess it's both when there's children and then there's adults too, right?
Well, that's the miniseries. Yeah, the miniseries is the original. And they start out as kids, and so that's the reason why it was a miniseries, so it could take you from when they were kids to when they were adults. So they figured with the movie, they would just separate it to two films. Yeah.
So I don't do scary clowns, so I won't be seeing this one or the sequel. I'm sorry, but I'm happy it's successful. You
yes.
Do that.
Yes. It was really good, and I can honestly say the only part that messed me up was the very first scene. After the very first scene, like, I didn't jump throughout the whole film. I was just disturbed by the first scene. After the first scene, the rest of the movie, I was good. I sat there, I enjoyed it.
A lot of people said it wasn't that scary, so I don't...
Well, I think it's all according. For those who are terrified of clowns, and there are a good number of people who are terrified by clowns.
We just did not go see the movie. Yes.
Right, exactly.
Hello.
For those of us who were in the movie, we clearly aren't bothered by clowns. And if you can get past that point, then yeah, there's very little that's going to scare you after that.
I remember seeing the trailer, and it's raining, it's dark, and then the little boy, he's like running down in his sailboat.
Mm-hmm.
It's like falling. I'm like, this don't seem like it's about to be dramatic. It's really finna. And then it goes down the sewer. I said, let me scroll the hell up on my Twitter, because I'm not gonna play whatever's down there. Nope. I'm not going to do this. No.
But
so I haven't seen the full trailer because I just don't do clowns.
Oh, then yeah, you just need to never. Yeah, I'm amazed you've been able to be on social media.
I mean, I've seen that. Like, just looking at the clown does not scare me.
I was about to say, because they have Pennywise everywhere.
Because I'm not that terrified. I just don't. Mm-mm.
But okay, so real quick, these last couple. We can run through, last several, and then I wanted to leave one. I wanted to leave one at the end for us to truly discuss, because I know that you're here for it all day. So next would be Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron, and a lot of people did not go to see that movie. I'm assuming you're one of them, right?
I am.
I believe that the movie was awesome. I'm actually disappointed that it did really bad at the box office, because it means more than likely it's not going to have a sequel. And I think it's definitely worthy of a sequel. I think that Charlize did an amazing job. I actually liked Atomic Blonde more than Salt. I really thought that like the cinematography was stunning. It was so beautiful. And James McAvoy was amazing in it. John Goodman, like they had a really good cast. And
I wonder if. Oh, no, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I wonder if people, because that's kind of for me, because I'm a little maybe burnt out on those types of like Salt movies and the Atomic Blonde, all those like super action / sci-fi, movies with all the white blonde leads. So, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe it was a little like, diversity would be nice.
Right.
Like, not to sound cliche, but you know what I'm saying? Just like give us something different, something new, something, or even if it's the same genre, let's see a new face do this.
Right. Absolutely. I can definitely understand that. But with that being said, there are quite a few movies coming out that are going to be just like that. They have one they have one that's coming out with Jennifer Lawrence, I believe. They have one that's coming out, a new Lara Croft, new Tomb Raider movie they have. So
I saw that it came out of nowhere.
Yes.
I was like,
yes.
When did we even? Okay, Deadline didn't announce this or nothing.
Well, I mean, it's been in the works for a little while. Alicia Vikander.
I mean, I know it has to be, but I don't remember even hearing about it at all.
Right. Alicia Vikander is going to be taking over Lara Croft from Angelina Jolie, so that'll be interesting because they're moving in the direction of how Laura is portrayed now in the video game, where she's a little bit more relatable, She's not using guns, things of that nature, so that's going to be very interesting to see. But then we move on from there to two movies that I don't think either of us saw, which was first starting off with the movie Detroit, and I didn't see Detroit because I just wasn't ready to have a trigger fest. That's the honest reason why I didn't see it. I didn't want to just be triggered all over the place, and I couldn't deal. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to see this movie, sadly enough.
Yeah. At first I was interested, but I kept hearing a lot of like negative things. So I was like, oh, well, let me save my, because the movies ain't cheap nowadays. So I said, so let me just save my money.
Amen.
And I'll just stay at the house.
Amen.
So, yeah. I mean, I'm like a fan of a lot of people, different people in the cast or whatever, and I want them to like do well. But
Absolutely.
I want to still enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
I can be a fan of somebody and say, okay, that one wasn't good. Maybe the next one will be better.
Right. And I was actually disappointed with not being able to see the film because I really wanted to support those artists, because they have some great actors in that film. Another movie that I wanted to see, but I had totally different reasons for why I didn't see it, was All Eyes on Me, Tupac's film. And I didn't see it because I love Tupac. Like, seriously. Like, I really, really love Tupac. And something in my mind was like, I don't know if this is going to do it. Like, I feel like I'm going to be really disappointed, because I want to see all sides of him, and I'm not sure if they showed all sides. And I'm like, I don't want this to just be, focused on certain aspects of his life. I want the fullness of his life. So I'm like, until I can get somebody who can really tell the fullness of his life, I think I'm going to be good. The documentary that came out on him a little bit after he passed away, I consider to still be the best. I absolutely love that documentary, and I'll watch that over and over again, which I believe... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I think it was of the same name. I think it's All Eyes on Me. And I love it. Like, not only do I love it, but they have Easter eggs in it as well. And I thought that was really cool that they have Easter eggs for people to be able to find on the DVD. Whew, Lord. But yeah, so I just couldn't, even with all the scandal that went on with Jada and the creators, that kind of actually made me want to see it even less, knowing the relationship that she had with him,
So do you think it's ever really possible to tell somebody's full story in a biopic, or do they really need to focus on like a specific part of their life?
I think it's,
you know what I'm saying?
I think it's all according to the parties that you bring to the table to be a part of it, I know if I was making the story of somebody's life, I would do my best to bring people from different areas of his life. Like, I wouldn't want it to be the people who are telling his story are his close friends who he made when he was on the West Coast, and those are the only people who get to tell the story. Because if that is the case, then you're missing out on all of the people who are on the East Coast, So it's like, talk to people who are at the School for the Arts. And that was one of my biggest issues, is that I went to the same high school that he went to, and I heard so many stories about him from our teachers. And in my mind, I'm like, so we don't get to, I want to see something that delves into that, because I feel like it plays a big part in who Tupac actually was, underneath how misunderstood he was. You feel me? Because a lot of people will tell you that past him being so, I guess kind of braggadocious and problematic, he was an amazing human being. And he did a whole lot of things that you never got to see, So, speaking of Jada, let's get into the final film for us to talk about over the summer. And that would be Girls Trip. I know this is a movie that we both surprise each other on, because we don't agree on a whole lot, but we both agreed that we...
Nothing. But I liked the movie, as to be expected, and you actually liked it. I said, shut up.
I enjoyed it a lot. I think it had a really awesome message. I think that it was well acted. It gave you a good amount of feels, I definitely appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it. For a number of reasons. I'm happy, like, Kenya Burr, like, even behind the scenes, the Kenya Burrs and, shoot. And, like, why can't I speak right now?
Listen. A lot of our listeners may not know this about you, but you're behind the scenes people. So I'm gonna just let them know that, because if you having a slip up, I want them to know this is really rare for you, because your people. So.
I'm pretty sure Will Packer also produced this one.
Yeah, I believe he did.
Okay, so yeah, I'm happy like they're all like on this upward trend, and then they gave Tracy Oliver. I think this might be. She also co-wrote the latest Barbershop movie with Kenya Barris.
Okay.
And then they did this together too. I'm so happy she's doing more things. I'm like, and then on front of the camera, I'm happy that we see Jada and Queen Latifah back together again. In fact, we even see Jada acting again, because I feel like it's been forever. That Regina Hall finally was able to like lead a film. You know what I'm saying? That Tiffany Haddish was able to be the breakout star, and I'm hoping it's on an upward trend also. I'm also happy it was so successful, because that means that they're all able to get more opportunities.
Absolutely. Now, don't shade Jada. You talk about she hasn't been acting in forever, but she's on Gotham, so.
Well, she's not at the box office in forever, does that matter? I wasn't trying to be shady.
I was like, it's bad enough that a good amount of the industry often ignores what it is that she does.
No, but okay, it's real. So you brought it up, because I wasn't trying to be shady. Because originally, though, she was just supposed to be on there like the first season or something, right? And they ended up extending her character.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha. Listen, it's like 400 plus television shows currently on. I cannot keep up with them all. I already told you I don't like DC like that earlier, so it's not my fault.
But yeah, I really enjoyed that Regina Hall was the lead character. A lot of people were talking about how much they loved Tiffany Haddish, but honestly, Regina Hall was my biggest takeaway. I loved that she had that role. I really did. I thought it was a very different role for her. I did not expect for her to be the one narrating it. Like, it was a very, very pleasant surprise. I'm really, really happy for her, because she's been in the game for a minute,
A long time.
Yeah. But you were mentioning the 400 something shows that are on television right now, and that's a great segue into our ending for our pop culture conversation, which is television. And there was a good bit of television that was taking place. So we have quite a bit that we have to get through. We have to get through all of the different shows and 2 award shows that we're on. So let's go ahead and knock those out. So first, OWN. What would you like to say about OWN?
I love that. I feel like she's, maybe this is what I want to feel like, so I could be wrong. But I feel like she's finally, I don't know if this is the network she always envisioned, is what she's finally getting, or if this is what best works for her modified vision, if you get what I'm saying. Because sometimes you can have a goal and a vision in mind, but then it does not come the way you expected or in the package that you wanted. So I still think that she's definitely pushing the envelope and being thought-provoking and challenging and, emotionally stirring with the new scripted series that keep coming on.
Right.
But I'm also not certain if this is exactly the way she wanted it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But I do love the direction that we're going in with Queen Sugar, with Greenleaf. I know you're not a soap opera fan. I am. It's fine. And then Mara Rocket Hill is finally gonna get what she deserves when she goes over there with her show on OWN. And then Alvin McCraney, let me say his full name so nobody beat me up. He's gonna have his show on there. So I'm just like really happy and excited for the things that they're doing.
Awesome.
And I love too that they're all different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like there'll be like a through line, I'm sure, kind of still, you know what I'm saying, can still fit the own brand kind of, but they're all very different artists.
Absolutely.
Kind of thing.
Definitely.
So I love that too.
Well, the only show that I'm really watching right now, with the exception of course, like Masterclass and Super Soul Sunday and things of that nature, are the only scripted series that I'm watching right now would be Queen Sugar. And I absolutely love... well, some of our listeners may have an issue with you being behind, but I've never seen episode 1. So.
I don't have OWN at the current moment, so I'm behind. If they're going to give me their own password, I'll watch it.
That's real. That's very real. Well, some of the things that I really appreciated about the first half of the season, Micah's trauma with what he had to deal with when it came to the police. I thought that was very, very powerful, and the relationship with his father. I think that it has been awesome to show the difference in his relationship with his father and Ralph Angel and Blue, just showing those different dynamics and the different ages as well. I've really enjoyed being able to see those and being able to see them going there, emotionally. And fathers showing up. That really, really has meant a lot to me, to see black fathers, and the fact that they show that even though they try to make it seem like black men are not there for their sons, that's not always the case. A good amount of the time, that's not the case. You feel me?
Exactly.
So I'm happy that they showed that. Also, Nova's relationship. Like, it's so interesting to see her journey from season 1 into season 2. And, they're giving you this broad spectrum of what it is that she finds to be attractive. And I think it's a breath of fresh air in separating her from her brother and sister as well, of truly giving her own personality. And the complexities that have been coming along with the man that she's getting to know right now. I can't think of his name at the moment.
Me neither, I'm sorry. No, memory's horrible. I tried.
But
and it's something, I feel like it's something common too, but I'm sorry.
Right.
It's like a last name. Yes.
But one thing I will say is that Ralph Angel almost caught these hands this season because of the way he was treating Darla. And when he and Charlie were going through everything they were going through, and he wanted for Darla to stop because of the way that he felt about his sister. And I'm like, when Charlie said what she said, not Charlie, when Darla said what she said to him, I really appreciated it, because I expected for her to be meek and to make a decision that she wasn't going to move forward for herself, But with her being an addict, she understands full well what she needs to do to work on her recovery. So I was happy that, she had the backbone to let him know that that's not how it was going to go down,
Yeah, and I think, too, just even like with both of their journeys, with her being an addict and then him being like formerly in jail or whatever, it's like his, not to diminish his struggle, but it's very different, whereas like an addict is a daily, everyday thing that you're like internally dealing with.
Right.
His is more so like really an external thing, like, okay, this was my past, and now how do I continue to move forward? And so with him, it's kind of like, okay, I already did jail, that's done, let me move forward. With her, it's not as easy.
Right.
But also, too, as they continuously told us, too, that he was like pretty much coddled and pretty much babied by their father most of his life. He's also the youngest child.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
A lot of that is just really showing up in him as an adult.
But that shows great writing, It shows great writing that exactly what you just said, that's able to be conveyed to us, and we can see it happen in his day-to-day life without them having to say it, you know.
Listen, we love writing. We love great writing.
Listen, all day here for the writing.
Talk about it.
Okay, so we're going to knock out several shows really quick, mostly because I have nothing to say about them because I haven't seen them. So you'll be handling. Well, I saw Carmichael season 1, but I saw none of season 2. So that'll be you.
That ended this summer, sadly.
It did.
And I'm still not quite sure because it was like several stories going on at once. So I'm not sure. The truth is, in there somewhere because it was like he wanted to end the show because they didn't air because he witnessed a mass shooting, so they didn't want to air it on a certain day.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said that pretty much the ratings weren't where they wanted them to be for them to come back, so the networks decided to end it. So I'm sad because I feel like it was a needed show. I feel like with the different mix of different types of comedies, black comedies specifically, that were on.
Absolutely.
All of them are so very different from each other.
Absolutely.
And I love an old school traditional throwback that was giving me all in the Family, everything Norman Lear put his hands on.
Mm-hmm.
Was the Carmichael show to me. It's and it sucks too because we know that minority actors, meaning everybody but straight white men,
mm-hmm.
is a struggle to get work.
Right.
And so it sucks that we don't know when we're going to see them again.
Right.
Because we know they're all talented, but we don't know how long we have to wait.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Exactly. I absolutely loved the first season. And what did it end up being 3 seasons?
It was 3, yeah.
3, yeah. So I didn't see the last 2, and I absolutely need to because I loved the first season. And I agree with you. I thought that it was much needed, and it helped toward the balance of being able to see so many different types of shows for black people, It is a wonderful time in television to be able to turn on the television, and I have so many different so many characters that all seem alike. You have so many options, and I thought that it played a part in being a very big option for people for all the reasons why you just said. Okay, so while I saw season 1 of Carmichael Show, I haven't seen any of Marlon. So what did you think of that?
Marlon, I enjoyed it. Okay. I do think, sadly, it's probably going to be a one-and-done thing.
Okay.
Because it was a summer show. I don't think it was heavily promoted. I think it's enjoyable. I think all the Wayans are funny, but I do think that Keenan, Damon, and Kim are the funniest of the siblings. And I think he was pretty much his own venture, outside of the family. I think it was maybe only 1 or 2, because they usually all work together. I think it was only 1 or 2 of them behind the scenes.
Right.
Which I get, at a certain point you want to be an adult and do things on your own, whatever. But also, if it works, then continue to do it, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think that he's very talented. I love Essence Atkins. We don't see enough of her, but I don't know if it was funny enough or got enough attention for it to come back for a season 2. It was a nice family sitcom, but I don't know. I don't know if maybe it needed to be somewhere else. I don't know if they needed somebody stronger behind it. I'm not sure. I don't see it coming back for season 2, but it might.
Right.
Because, the Carmichael Show surprised me because the first season was so, here and then gone. You know what I'm saying?
That's very true. So now that brings us into 2 of the biggest shows of the summer. Well, one of them wasn't necessarily the summer. It kind of ended.
2017.
Right. I'm about to say it kind of ended in the summer.
Both of them actually 16, 17.
Right. So people could kind of get on us because they're like, that show wasn't during the summer, but I just feel like we need to talk about it. But the first one being one that was in the summer, and that is Insecure. This was an awesome season of Insecure.
Yes.
It was really, really good. And
it was really good. It was too short, but
listen, and I need you to understand that when I tell you Issa goes hard and letting people know what we're not going to get, I feel
I don't want an hour.
I know.
Sitcom. Just give me 30 minutes.
Just give me, listen.
10 or 12 episodes.
Yes.
That I do need.
I need more than 8. And I need for her to start hearing that part because I see her do so many interviews where she makes sure to drive home about the hour thing. And I'm like, listen, sweetie, we're going to let that go. Give us those 10 to 13. This is all I'm saying. Give us those 10 to 13 and we're going to be good.
That's literally it.
I feel like we can have an entire podcast all by itself for Insecure. But one of the things I appreciated that they broached the topic of open relationships. That is a conversation that I do believe needs to happen more often, not only in television but day-to-day life, because there's a lot of shaming when it comes to that.
A lot of people just don't get it. I think too that I could be wrong, because I've told you before, it's live television on.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen like a black couple in an open relationship on TV before.
Because there's so much television, I would need time to go through that. But yeah,
I don't think that I've ever, and especially not. And if it was, it probably was like a very special episode. If you get what I'm saying,
exactly.
We're gonna fully explore this thing. And I watched the interview she did where she was saying, they're not going to explore it too much to the point where we're going to really know the ins and outs, because we're just getting it from Molly's point of view, basically.
Right.
But at least the fact that it's still a continuous thing that may or may not come back in season 3. No spoiler alert here, but you get what I'm saying. Like, yes, no.
When I tell you that Miss Orgy played that role, like to watch her, it's one thing to see her do interviews, you know, but then to see her as Molly, for one, I feel like shows her acting chops, because especially what it is she goes through with her insecurities when it comes to men, you know, and I feel like it was only made worse when she found out what she found out in her family. Doing my best to not do spoilers, just like you. When she found,
I do think she extremely overreacted, but you know,
listen,
overreacting was a theme.
Overreacting was a theme in this season. You hear me?
Jesus.
But it's funny that you said that, because the next thing I have down for us to discuss is Issa being problematic. Sweetie, when I tell you the scene with her and Daniel, right? Daniel's his name?
That's his name.
The scene with her and Daniel, I can't, and I won't. Like, okay.
But not just the scene, the fact that we're still upset the whole next episode.
Listen. And I know we're doing our best to not
do. I was upset with her too. I was like, wait a minute, are y'all not like 29? Did he not warn you?
I was so that whole episode, that whole next episode triggered me so bad. Like, I don't know the last time television ever triggered me that much. Like, the minute they started off complaining about what happened, and Molly was talking about going over to his house, and I'm sitting there like, really? Because he came on her face? Like,
okay. Come on, spoilers.
No, I decided, I'm sorry. We really did our best, but I'm sorry.
But he said, I'm coming. Folks keep forgetting, like, did he warn her? Yes.
He said, I'm coming. That's the end of the conversation. Really. You were the one giving him head.
You got one or two choices at that moment. And she made neither. Like, you literally had two options and you did neither one. I don't understand. He said, no, I'm just going to stand here. He's like, and then I'm mad. What?
Whew. Oh boy. Okay. But let's be clear. We also learned this season that Lawrence isn't innocent by any means, you know.
I'm Lawrence High, Team Lawrence all day.
I'm Team Lawrence all day.
Just because I'm Team Lawrence does not mean that he is always right. A lot of folks get confused. They be like, oh, you see your boy this week? I saw him and he fucking up. Just like Issa, just like Molly. Everybody on the show.
Listen, a mess.
I saw him. I did.
And I'm still Lawrence Hive all day.
Because my Lawrence Hive is on the facts solely that Issa cheated. It's nothing else. I just made my decision then. Because if I could choose again, I would be Team Kelly. But hey, just saying.
Because Kelly is worthy of a team. Kelly is worthy of a team.
Deserving. Now, granted, we don't see her problematic mess. We only see her come and crack jokes.
Well, the only reason why we haven't seen that is because clearly the creators don't understand when you say someone is going to be full time.
Get some tea. Ooh, Jesus.
She's going to be a full-time cast member now. that means she's supposed to actually be in scenes. Okay.
Wow.
Just figured I'd go ahead and let people know how I feel about her and Amanda Seales not getting their time. But you know.
Tiffany is never there. I feel like we saw her more in season 1. Like, I don't know.
We saw her more in season 1. Let's be very clear. You saw more of her husband this season than you did of her.
Oh, damn. Also, to clear something else up, I don't know if we discussed this off the podcast or whatever, but I was watching the interview with Issa again, and she was saying everybody had the whole thing wrong in the finale about about Tiffany not being there to watch the show of the finale of watching Due North.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just folks like, oh, maybe something's wrong, something's up. No, they just wanted to be that she's sick and she didn't make it. There's nothing else going on. There's no ulterior motives.
Listen.
There's no cliffhanger there.
When I tell you that never crossed my mind once, and I thought that was so interesting that everybody was reaching, I was like, I didn't read more into that at all. Like, she's not there. Like, I don't know.
I think I only read into it because they hinted earlier that they had issues in their marriage.
Oh.
And then even in that same episode in the scene, you know what I'm saying, Derek talks about the person that she had at work.
Right.
Was kind of flirting with her or whatever.
But I mean, I feel like in the Facebook Live video that they did afterward, that Issa herself, you know, she pretty much made it clear that no, this is our quote unquote successful relationship. You know,
that's the interview that I saw.
Yeah, you know, and she's like, we make sure to reference in the past the problems that they've had, you know, but this is our successful couple. So I was like, okay, people, stop trying to have everybody single on the show, like.
I'm not trying to single. It was I was curious.
I bet. So let's go ahead and take that curiosity over to our last show, which is This Is Us.
Which I binged this summer. I did not watch it all.
Listen, here's the reason why it was a summer show, because while all the rest of us finished it at the end of spring, you decided that you were going to binge it because you were the only one out of the loop. So welcome into the loop.
In August, okay? Like, not even, you know, like any other month. Like, not, you know. But I enjoyed it. I really liked it. You're not going to agree, and that's fine. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's as emotional as they try to portray it to be.
Oh,
I did not cry once.
The majority of our listeners don't agree, so it's fine. It's okay.
Whatever. I really enjoyed this show, but it's like Parenthood to me was like this show on NBC that I was like, okay, I need my tissue every week. This Is Us does not do that for me. I really enjoy it. But yeah, it's just
So one of the things that pulled out the most tears for me were Randall and William's relationship, he and his father. Mm-hmm. And of course, the acting is superb from both of us. I mean, both of them.
Listen, can act out of a paper bag.
Listen, yes. all day. And the Memphis episode is what really took me there, you know. It was so beautiful to see their relationship and the way that the story was told. With that being said, I also love the relationship between Randall and Beth, his wife. Mm-hmm. And the way that that's portrayed, and not only that they are married and in a romantic relationship, but they're friends. You can really get that they're friends, and I don't feel that we see enough of that on television. You know, one of the things that I love to be able to see is the relationship between Issa and Lawrence, and then Randall and Beth, because I feel like with Issa and Lawrence, you can tell two people who got in a relationship who weren't friends first. You feel me? And I feel like it wasn't really a navigation of doing friendship and romance at the same time. And I'm a huge proponent of doing that. And I feel like you can see that with Randall and Beth. That these are two people that are married. They're a team. They're friends, you know. You can see all of these things together. And that's the reason why the relationship works, is because they don't see each other as just like, okay, well, we got into a relationship. Let's change all the rules of when we were first getting to know each other and operate in this space of whatever relationship it's supposed to be. You feel me?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I do think, of course, you know, they're my favorite because they're the black couple, you know. But, but no, I do really enjoy that. I do think I am happy that they're stable. Of course, problems are going to come. But I also like that, too, when you really challenge a stable couple. Because life happens and things are going to, like, come up. But you know what I'm saying? But they're able to still persevere together. They're still able to, like, talk it out, actually. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
be adults about things. And
absolutely.
So I really love that. I'm not here at all for Miguel. You knew what I was going to say.
I will never. Okay, so we're gonna leave that there because this is absolutely a show you don't want to spoil. But yeah, I need people to understand that Miguel is not nearly as bad as you make him seem. But yeah,
I don't see it for him at all.
Listen, whatever. But yeah, so I initially was saying to myself that I wanted to go further in these conversations, but I just realized what I typed up for us to discuss was perfect because everything that I discuss are all things that don't give away spoilers. Wow, good job. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on because everything else is a spoiler. So those are the only relationships that aren't hidden. So with that being said, this was an Emmy-nominated show, so let's make our way over to the Emmys.
Yes. Okay. Now, I missed it on Sunday, but then I was able to see like the first hour and a half on the CBS app, and then the app stopped working for me.
Okay.
So I saw enough of the show. I didn't see all of the show.
So I took copious notes, and because of that...
That's copious. Because of that, I'm going to let you lead, and I'm going to just ask my commentary. Yes. Okay. Gotta be well read.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to read off different things, and then, we can chime in on the things that you feel like you want to comment on. So, there was a cute intro by Stephen Colbert, and during that intro, the thing that really stuck out to me the most, other than Sean's... well, no, that didn't happen during the intro. Chance the Rapper had a part. And I really appreciated that part when he came out because I didn't expect for him to have something during the intro. But then what else did I say? He mentioned things about, this is Chance the Rapper. He mentioned something about police getting convicted and about Laverne Cox and why is it if we can have shows like MASH, we're not able to have shows with Laverne Cox in the lead doing the exact same thing. And that completely caught me off guard that Chance the Rapper was rapping about that. I was like, that was pretty awesome. Stephen Colbert made a comment about Bill Maher because he was talking about all of the black people who were in attendance. And he was like, but Bill Maher's not there. And he was like, it was surprising seeing how he's so comfortable using the N-word. And that made me fall out. Then Sean Spicer came out. For those who aren't aware of who Sean Spicer is, he's a former press secretary for the guy who's in the White House right now. So he came out and surprised everyone. And I don't know, I was on the opposite side. There are a lot of people who feel some kind of way about the fact that he was there. I was not one of them. To me, it was hilarious. There were a lot of people, and everyone is entitled to their opinion. I want to say that first before I make this next comment. But I don't get why people were in their feelings. Like, at the end of the day, it was a funny moment. He came out. We got to see the reaction on Melissa McCarthy's face. She's played him on Saturday Night Live, and it was funny. Let it go. There's not more to that. Everyone's talking about, well, when he was in the White House, he lied to us and blah, blah, blah. Good job. You've been lied to more than once. Like, I don't join in with the laughter and keep it moving, or don't laugh at all. The fact that it was made to be so much more is kind of like it was a moment on a television show, like an awards program. Like, why is this a thing? So anyway, that's my feelings on that.
I don't have any.
But okay, so then I was telling you, because for those who are listening, before it got to the point where Brandon was watching the show, I was texting my feelings about certain things to him. And the announcer for the night, his name was Jermaine Fowler. And are you reflecting back on what I was saying?
I am.
So he initially annoyed the crap out of me. And the reason why he annoyed the crap out of me is because it seemed like he was very out of place for the Emmys. He was absolutely giving me BET vibes. And I was like, what's happening? Like, this doesn't seem like one and the same. And that's no knock to BET at all. If he was there, then I would have been like, okay, I'm rocking with him. He has so much.
That's real. I think he was a lot more lively than the announcers usually are. The announcers usually seem very, like, they're dignified and they're, like, down. And that's just like, Mrs. Viola Davis, who has been nominated 3 times. And her first Emmy win. And he was like, "That's Viola Davis, she nominated 3 times." Like, okay.
And that's just it. The funny thing is that I started off super annoyed by him, but by the end of it, I was actually okay. Like by the end of it, I was laughing at some of the stuff that he was saying. But
it was off-putting at first because we're not used to that.
Yes, and I felt like that.
I think he was like, I don't think he was putting on. I think that's like genuinely him. So that kind of made me.
That's genuinely him. Yup, absolutely. Okay, so what other notes did I have? Okay, so let's talk about the winners really quick, because when I tell you I took serious notes, I have so many things I was talking about, so we can knock out some of the winners we want to talk about really quick. Okay, so, of course, you know I'm here all day for the fact that Best Director for a Comedy Series and Best Actor for a Comedy Series were both won by Mr. Donald Glover. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Wait a minute.
I didn't know you were taking a pause.
Wait a minute.
Now you're making me. Now I feel bad. I didn't know you were taking a pause. Oh God.
Wait a minute. The shade that just came over this conversation.
I didn't get shady yet. I watched Atlanta. I enjoyed Atlanta. But I don't think it's my kind of comedy.
Yes.
I don't.
We've discussed.
Like I've said before, watch it. Don't do too much. Like I said before, I'm very traditional. I like, you know what I'm saying, a laugh track. I like a live studio audience normally. I like things to be a little bit more serialized just on television in general. I'm not the biggest fan normally of when shows give you one kind of thing 1 week and then one kind of thing next week, and then, you know what I'm saying? I think that sometimes that works and it can be enjoyable, but that's not my go-to. That's not my favorite. So for that, I'm very happy that, you know, he made history. I'm very happy he won. Again, like Issa Rae said, a movie for all the black people. However, Atlanta was not my favorite comedy of 2016-17 television season.
And I absolutely respect that.
Because I did watch the whole season, so I know what I'm talking about. I know enough to know that it's not my go-to.
Indeed. So with that being said,
I have a friend who watched the pilot and said, "This is not what I'm going to do." And I said, "Hey, I knew you wasn't going to, but
it's not for everyone." And
it's not.
Atlanta has a specific type of humor, which is the reason why it made it my favorite of all the new shows, you know. It was absolutely my favorite. I believe Queen Sugar would probably come second. But oh my goodness, Atlanta blew me away. The writing, I love dry, you know, and you and I have talked about that. I love the kind of humor that could go over your head if you're not prepared. I love abstract. Pretty much, I love everything that is Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, and I feel like he got the perfect cast to be able to do that. Not only did he get the perfect cast for Atlanta, but I'm really happy that because he had to take a break for a year to be able to do the movies that he's doing, it gave them all an opportunity to step out. And every single person in that cast are all doing great things separate from Atlanta, you know? And I think that's just going to mean even more for when season 2 comes. Yeah. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think about that break though. I think that they were, I hate to say lucky, but you know what I'm saying? I feel like so many times, or like you said, if like the creators behind it or the lead would have been like, okay, we're going to take a break. I feel like it's rare that everybody else also gets something in the meantime. And so for that reason too, I'm very happy too. Because, you know, I mean, actors like to be working actors.
Right.
Everybody need a check. So I'm happy that they were all able to get things and big things and multiple things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then away from his wins, congratulations, Donald. We also had Lena Waithe and Aziz Ansari win writing for a comedy for for Master of None. And I consider Lena's speech to be the speech of the night. Like, that was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And she made history because she became the first black woman to ever win in that category, or to be nominated either.
Listen, which is like,
because it's pretty much spitting in the face of so many women you love.
criminal. Do you hear me? It's criminal. Because when you think about it, like all of the, but it just goes to show. I hate to say racist, but you know what I'm saying, just how.
Say what you feel. Say what you feel.
First, you know what I'm saying? No, I mean I don't necessarily want to call them racist. I mean, even though that's what it is, it just doesn't feel right to say. But you know what I'm saying? I hate that with all of the populated Black 90s sitcoms and even the early 2000s or whatever, that nothing was ever nominated or even.
That's real talk.
It was like they really had to like depend on the NAACP Image Awards, then the BET Awards, and then you know what I'm saying, for a while it was the BET Comedy Awards.
Yes.
So you know what I'm saying? It just really sucks that has to be the first win.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like the first held nomination.
Absolutely.
Because I think they said that Mindy Kaling was the first woman of color nominated for, I can't remember if it was The Office or if it was the Mindy Kaling project.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it was too.
But even the fact that, I'm like, even that is still in the 2000s.
Absolutely.
You know
Absolutely. And there was so much greatness that came before, and to know that other shows were never in that category, other writers weren't in that category, that's insane. It honestly is.
Exactly.
You know?
But it really is just a behind the scenes thing. It's nothing to discount any of the work that anybody did.
Absolutely.
It sucks.
Absolutely. Also, Riz Ahmed won for lead actor in a limited series, and that was for The Night Of on HBO. I really need to finish that. I saw the first episode, and it was amazing.
And he was also the first South Asian man to win in that category.
Yes, he was. His amazingly fine self. But anyway. And then, as we spoke of earlier, Mr. Sterling K. Brown won for lead actor in a drama series.
It was historic, the first one in like almost 20 years.
Yeah, since Robert Guillaume won for Benson back in the 80s. So yeah, that's. No,
I thought somebody else. No. That was Donald Glover's win.
Oh, that was Donald. My bad. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, for comedy.
So that was even longer.
Lord, why did I say drama with Robert Guillaume? Yeah, Benson was clearly a comedy. My bad. Yes, that was Donald Glover who had won for the first time since
But I can't remember who won before Sterling. I can't remember.
But that says so much, because it's like people are always making arguments about the content and stuff not being there, but I feel like you can't say that with this. I feel like we have had many memorable characters of color on television. You feel me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, the fact that there are such huge spaces in between when they win is just, no, I'm not here for it. I'm not.
But honestly, too, Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Yeah.
What up? Just the girl. You made me think that I get a name wrong. She's hilarious. Love her to pieces. But I'm happy Veepa's ending because she didn't took over that category. Like, listen.
Yeah. I'm really ready for it to be over.
Also, too, I need the category to be a little bit more color up in there.
Yeah.
Just because she gone don't mean that it's gonna only be somebody else white. Like,
right.
Come on now.
That's very true. I also don't like that it seems like they have a quota for how many people of color can be there. Because Kerry Washington was getting nominated for Scandal, and then the minute they brought along Viola, Kerry was no longer nominated. You know. Also, there's no reason why Insecure should have been left out of as many things. You know, I'm here all day for Atlanta, but Insecure absolutely deserves more nominations. You know.
Exactly. So
I'm like, I don't like that it seems like there's a quota. Like, okay, this is where it's going to be, and we have to leave it right here, or else nobody else can get nominated. So I think that's BS. A few other things that I really liked. I thought it was funny when RuPaul did her little skit as playing Emmy, having a conversation with Stephen Colbert. I love the Westworld skit with Jeffrey Wright and Stephen Colbert, and then Titus Burgess came in.
Okay, real quick, we talk about when Titus lost and that side eye he gave.
No.
I'm like, the camera's still on you. Please do better. Please.
He went with his natural reaction.
Which is real. I love it. But I'm like, good Lord, you can't take us nowhere.
Well, what about the woman? I can't remember who she was, and I forgot who won the award. I think it may have been when Nicole Kidman won for Best Actress in a Limited Series.
I didn't see that
but
one.
there was a woman who went off. You talking about Titus side-eye? No, she literally was like, damn, shit. Like while the camera's on her face. And then
I don't think I got that far.
Yeah.
Because I missed the really big one.
Mind you, I never saw it when it happened. I only saw it once, they started showing it on the news and all that stuff. But she was so petty that after it was over, she went on social media and started tweeting about the person and everything. And I was like, well, shit. Like, wow.
Childish.
Like,
the fact that you nominated, that should be enough. Like, I mean, of course everybody wants to win, but even those big nominations, even the nominations do mean something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So some people go, the whole career is never being nominated for nothing.
Never being nominated for anything. You hear me? And we were just talking about that.
Tracy is just now getting nominated for Blackish, when I love Blackish, but I feel like she was doing 10 times more on Girlfriend.
She should have, listen, that's a whole new conversation right there, because that goes back to what we were saying earlier. I feel like we need an entire podcast episode talking about that. The injustices of people of color on television. But anyway, with that being said, we have come to the end of this podcast. So I would like to thank you for joining me for the beginning of the Healing Space. For those of you who enjoy our banter, as I said, Brandon will actually be on every single solitary episode. So get used to him.
Loud and here. Come through.
If people would like to, because I don't say follow, if people would like to walk with you on social media, where can they do that?
You can do that on the Twitter at Just Call Me Otis. It's not my real name because I'm running from the feds. So it's all, one thing, at Just Call Me Otis. That is also my name on Instagram. My Instagram is private. So you better just follow me on Twitter. I'm just going to be honest with you. Some be like, who is that? I'm like, look, a lot of attention. At some point it'll be public, but as for right now, it's still private. I'm not ready to get healed over there. We're going to heal in space on this podcast, but on Twitter,
I can't. If you would like to be able to find this podcast on SoundCloud and on YouTube, you can add it or find it at THS Podcast. Those are the letters THS Podcast. If you'd like to be able to walk with me on social media, myself, I am Scorpy Yogi. So that's ScorpyOgi. Scorpy Yogi, and that is pretty much all over social media. You can find me on Instagram under that. You can find me on Twitter under that. You can find my like page, my fan page on Facebook under that. And yeah, I think that's everything as far as me. For my companies, you can find the Love Movement on Instagram and Facebook under We Are TLM, WEARETLM. You can find the THS Podcast on Instagram as THS lowercase podcast, THS Podcast, and on Twitter _ THS Podcast. And I think that's it. Oh, Revolution. I have so many things, Brandon.
Look at you.
You can't
keep up. I don't think we're going to have to rewind.
Shut up. You're going to have to walk. You can walk with Revolution all over social media.
On with you all these places.
On Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, Revolution LLC. RAVOLUTION LLC. And I think that's it. I'm exasperated.
Me too.
Also, if you're interested in any of my services, you can email me at love@revolutionmultimedia.com. There we can talk about my meditation services, my yoga services, my life coaching services, and all that good stuff. Again, I'd like to thank you for joining us.
Make sure they know you don't have to be in Atlanta to get them services.
Come on now.
Do it over the internet.
Come on, teamwork.
Skype, you can get your FaceTime. So just because you're not in Atlanta don't mean you can't get no services from Raven.
That is very
Get
true.
your coins together. It ain't that expensive. Don't do that. Don't do that. So you can reach out and get your meditation on, get your yoga on. You can be healed, not just on this podcast. But
Just
outside of the podcast.
yes, just not on.
Shondo. Yes.
Okay. We are going to go now, and we will see all of you in 2 weeks for the next episode of the Healing Space Podcast. We hope you're healed. Until then, peace and namaste.